So we will now open the article up for any debate. What's that? Mr. Belbin on the right?
Yes. Can you put the whole plan up there on the screen?
Yeah.
The what plan?
The 10-year plan. So on this 10-year plan, the upper ball field, the upper ball field is being twisted a little bit, and part of the EMS building, that end part, is getting all demolished there. Whenever I look to do a project, I want to make sure that the foundation is all there before I make the little tweaks here and there or anything. I think that us starting to put the playground in the middle here and leave the ball fields by just fixing them up for now until 10-year plan or whatever stage it's going to be at where they start rearranging everything. I mean, I think we need to look at that a little differently. That's a lot of work to be done there, and you're going to be without a ball field too, no matter what, how you do it. But we don't even have funding mechanism for that after this first stage for it. CPA money utilized for this, yeah, it can be used, but we have housing problem here in this town for affordable housing. One affordable housing unit, that's all we spent for CPA money, all right, to be built. All right, we have historic buildings that need to be dealt with. All right, so I mean, we need that other money for other projects. If we use everything for recreation, then people who have historic houses can't get extra funding to fix them up, and then heaven forbid they get them in disrepair. And even some of our buildings that are older buildings can come into disrepair. We have a housing issue. Just want to let you know, using CPA money, it's not a guaranteed every year. It keeps dropping what the state gives us, and we end up putting more money out of our pockets for it. So we have to be really careful on how we use CPA money. Just think about that. Think of the other usage of CPA money, please.
Thank you, Mr. Belbin. On the left here, Ms. Downing.
Hi, Jen Dowding again, 39 William Street. You're all going to hate my question. And my question, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to ask the landscape architect how much it would cost to put rubber foam matting in instead of mulch, because I think the mulch is unsafe and you can hide a lot of things in it and drop a lot of things and people can step on a lot of things.
The rubberized mulch is, the rubberized surface is in part of the presentation and part of the cost estimates. I think is $40,000 is in the plan for that to cover underneath the equipment.
But he did say that he was going to, there would be part for the ADA compliance, there would be part the rubber surfacing and then mulch as well.
Right.
So that's still my problem.
Sure, and we'll have to get into the design to figure out what else needs to be done.
I
but
was
there
just
is
wondering what the
rubberized.
possible cost could be. You know, I fundraise a lot. Sure.
I'm not sure, were you first before?
Not sure. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll recognize the right.
Hi, I'm Susan Drew again, 3 Don Way, and I was on the original committee. And so looking at this, and when I looked at all of this, one thing that I want to at least address is the walking path. Many people talked about the value of that because people can walk, people can ride their bikes, etc. And what I see here is that it's going to be, the walking path is going to have stone dust. When children ride their bikes and they fall, they're really going to get hurt if they're on stone dust. I wonder if it's possible to think about a better surface for that area so that the walking path can really be utilized by elders and children and bike riders. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll recognize the woman on the left.
Maria Asbestos, 23 Bates Pond Road. My first question, I guess, it says phase 2 is a 10-year plan. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean the phase 2 is done over the next 2 years? Is it going to take 10 years before we start doing phase 2? Or when is phase 2 started? Do you have any idea?
In the Recreation Committee, we talked about this being a 10-year plan and doing each phase every 2 to 3 years, incorporating that into the capital plan. But we need to provide better design for the future phases.
Okay, so the 10-foot fence that's around the playground, do we have any idea, like, how long that 10-foot fence around the playground is going to be there?
That's all in phase 1. Everything you see on the screen behind me that was described is all
permanent?
phase 1.
Yeah, is that permanent, the 10-foot fence?
That is permanent, yes.
That's a permanent fixture, okay. Now also, I was told that it's going to take like $336,000 to replace the playground. Is that correct?
As Tom had mentioned, the estimates that were done were on prevailing wage, but through donations and other in-kind work and us breaking that out, we will not be spending that amount of money.
Okay, so you think you can get it down to the $286,000?
That is correct.
Okay. Now also, the water mister that we have at the current playground, is that going to be, is that on the plan, or is that in the plan at any point?
That hasn't been designed into the plan yet.
Okay, is that something that we're planning on replacing and putting over on this current playground?
We're going to look at all the equipment to see what's still available and can be reused, and then what can be salvaged and reutilized will be done, but I don't want to sit here and commit to you that that water feature automatically will come if we're not able to relocate it.
Okay, yeah, we were just promised, you know, in the past that we were going to have everything in this new plan for this new playground was going to be available from our old plan. So I just wanted to know whether that was planned to be put in the new playground as we were told.
And that'll all be discussed, I think, as you heard from the Recreation Committee. They would love more public input into how they pick out the features and what they move over there, so that we'll be plenty of opportunity for that discussion to take place. And they do have allocation of these funds to figure out where the priorities should be.
Now, the walking path is also not within the 10-foot fence, correct, currently? The walking path is not within the 10-foot fence, so people that are walking on the current place there is to walk, they're not going to be protected within that 10-foot fence. They're going to be walking in the middle of the ball fields without being in the middle of the 10-foot fence?
No, I think what the Tom presented was you'd be walking between the 3 and the 10-foot fence. There'd still be a walking area in between the two fences.
Right, but so you're not being protected by the 10-foot fence when you're walking, is what I'm saying. What do you mean?
Okay.
You mean there's
The
not...
timer does show that we're out of time, but the majority of these were questions, so I'm going to allow you to wrap up with the questioning.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. I was going to say the 10-foot fence, sorry. Okay, I think that was really it. I just wanted to make sure that we were going to have everything that we had been told.
And again, as I said, I know the Recreation Committee is encouraging more public to get involved in how they plan this out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, on my right.
Good evening. I'm Heather Thevenin. I'm from 52 Great Meadow Drive. Just a question regarding the softball field area. Is that to be allocated for the youth sport program or the adult sport program that is using, because both are currently using that? The Girls Softball League does not have a real home, and they're using that for practice at this point, but not for their games.
So I believe that will still be used for temporary practice, but at the elementary school, we have the 2 new fields for the girls softball that unfortunately won't be ready this year. They'll be ready next year. But in the meantime, whatever's happening today will still continue for this planning. Is that right, Adam? Thank you. And one other thing I just want to point out that was mentioned to me is it is the intent that this new playground will be constructed this summer, which will proceed when it's torn down over at the library to make room for the police station. So the new playground will be up and running sometime by the end of this summer. Around about that time. Again, that would occur before it's demolished. So you would have the new playground before the old one is demolished.
Okay, hold your applause. That is good news. Mr. Dunham.
Yeah, to Alan Dunham, 11 Ricard Street. Mr. Moderator, through you to either the chairman of the CPC or town administrator, whoever would like to handle this. Just for clarification from a previous speaker's concerns, I believe that they actually have different pots of money for the low-income housing and also for historic So the money that's coming out for this project is strictly coming out from recreational monies.
Could I recognize Mr. Bentley to answer the question?
Bob Bentley, 61 Road. This money is actually coming out of open space and recreation monies, as well as additional unencumbered funds. So there are different pots. We actually, every year, we have another article coming up later on, but every year we take 10% of the available funds and put it into a reserve if we aren't spending money on historic. Another 10% goes into affordable housing if we aren't spending money on affordable housing. So every year those pots build up. But this money has been earmarked specifically for using open space and recreation monies, as well as some of the unencumbered funds we have. One of the things that the CPC was very, very aware of and did not want to have, we did not lose sight of, was the fact that we don't want to spend every speck of our money. We want to make sure that we have some of it, other available monies. And granted, in the past years, we've spent a lot of money. So we're very aware of how much money we have, and we don't want to overspend, so that we actually have monies available, hopefully, for other projects in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I just wanted to make sure that people understood you have pots of money for those other uses right now that you still add to each year.
That's affirmative.
Thank you.
Thank you. On my right.
Dagmar Ryan, 14 Lillian Way. I went to the Recreation Committee meetings, when the ones that I could attend. I had some input. I was wondering why they were sticking a municipal play area in between ball fields and not up front, maybe where that former fire station is, and I still don't know why it's sitting there. Or by where that parking is planned, and the response was that they want to put something in between the ball fields so they could watch their kids play. You know, they want to entertain the bored siblings while the other siblings play ball, which to me does not sound like a community interest. So we use the community funds for something that's, a lot of people from the community play ball, but I just put a bad taste in my mouth when I went to that committee meeting. And I know everybody has good intentions and they work hard, but I'm just giving you what I felt when I went there. So I'm still curious why we couldn't put the picnic area, park area where the old fire station is, so that people who don't want to be in between ball fields can be there. Second part, CPC money is tax money. It still comes from your taxes. And I wonder why, if this town is giving up French and art programs, why are we, but we have money to spend on replicating things we already have. I question, if you want a playground between the ball fields, maybe that's something that should be privately donated or fundraised for, not out of community funds. And I work in Halifax in the mornings, and their playground is being replaced by private donations mainly, and the construction is quite disturbing. So I can't imagine they're going to construct a playground this summer and let the ball people play ball, just the way you weren't going to put a police station on top of the police station. That trucks and dirt is very disruptive. So I would question whether or not that's a realistic goal to do all that by the summer and play ball. So yes, most of this plan is 10 years down the pike. That brown spot is just a place to walk, period. It's not a walking path. You have to walk somewhere. Then they opened up spring day for baseball. I saw how many people were there. It was packed. And all that area where the playground is, all those people were there. So I don't know what you're going to do with all those people unless you're going to sit on top of the swing sets and everything else. So I mean, I was on the original playground committee. We came for $25,000 for planning. We planned. We put just as much work in as anybody else. We went to lots of playgrounds, and this to me, I think, was the best they could do in the town. They got it, and I think they did what they were asked to do. But I really don't. I will not vote for CPC money for this particular plan, for this portion. Do the ball fields, spend the money where it needs to be for the ball fields. That was the main purpose. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. We did not lose any art programs or any French programs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, on the right.
Sorry. Hi, Kristen Moore, 8 Alexandra Lane. In response, or a question directed, is the elementary school fields, you had mentioned that those would be used for the Carver girls softball. Those are only built for up to age grades, I believe they're grades 4 and 5. Where do the remaining, the rest of the league, which is 6 through 7 to 8, 9 sometimes, where are they going to play? If these fields are built for the adults.
I believe that's middle high school.
Okay, I'm just wondering, just because, I thought the idea of this complex
Please
was-
try to speak in the microphone.
I'm sorry, I thought the idea of this complex was to be able to have the majority of youth sports learning at these areas. And if even one softball league of girls can't play there, I'm just wondering why that would be.
Do you want to address a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Jim Hoffman, 8 Great Meadow Drive, member of the Recreation Committee, as well as CPC, so I've been into a few of these meetings. To answer your question, we did talk with the president of the girls softball about maybe having that a long-term home for the older girls for that exact reason, that it was a larger field, and especially if we're going to get the infields redone, we're going to work on the dugout so it'll be a lot more presentable than it is right now. But we had talked with the Jones, but he had talked with him, and that's something we're discussing. But
Yeah, I just see that it hurts that we'd be losing a field, whereas because the program is growing,
right.
Now we're
the
down
goal
a
is to have
field too.
both those softball fields available to the girls. That's what we had talked at the last recreation meeting.
Right, but in the new design, it would be down to one field.
Well, that's a 10-year plan, and that's.
Okay. I guess that's just my main question
Right.
is, when would that actually be happening? Would
That's at
that
the
be
end-
in year one?
That's at the end of the 10-year plan.
End of the 10.
Yeah, the
Okay.
immediate plans are right now, this slide right here.
Okay.
To do the, rebuild all the infields, do the playground, the parking, put the 10-foot fence up. That's the immediate need. And then in 2 or 3 years, when we can get some funding, then we go to the next step.
Okay.
But the softball was really one of the last ones we talked about, because that's going to take the most work. So that was the goal anyways of
All
the
right.
committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the right?
Yeah, Bill Duggan, 285 Meadow Street. My impression is that the playground at the new grammar school is available for the citizens of Carver to use, and duplicating that someplace else and not that far away seems not fiscally responsible, I guess, if I was to. But that was just my question. I heard it mentioned a couple of times here about the grammar school playground being available, and I know it's just it's not a hardship to, if you can't use it 24/7, So I'd just like to hear a little bit more about that if I could.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, only clarification would be that playground's not open during the school day. So during school hours, it's not open to the public. After school hours, it is open to the
Right.
public.
So that's hardly, hardship in my opinion, just to work around it. The town hall's not open Fridays, we just work around that, you just accept it. I accept that, that's fine.
Am I right?
Steve Pratt, 16 Weston Street. Could you bring back the slide for the previous one, which showed the 10-year? Thank you. So my question is, I think creating walking paths that are just beyond the 4-foot fence is not a logical solution. If you're going to do anything, put a 10-foot fence at the end of the ball fields, put the 4-foot fence around the playground, because you're going to be more protective walking there. So I will tell you, somebody walking along that path is not going to be looking for a home run ball. They're going to be walking around the path. So you may want to consider that. The second thing in the 10-year plan, if you're looking at coming up with a recreational area for the town, you really need to include, as part of the 10-year plan, looking at moving the EMS building as well. Those folks work really hard for this town. We don't spend a lot of money doing it. It's all paid for by insurance and everything like that. We should be looking for a better location for the EMS and remove that that rest of that building, because they're already taking down the
The
DPW.
EMS building's not within scope of the article, so.
It's part of the 10-year phase for the recreation area, is my suggestion.
Yeah.
All I'm suggesting is, if we're going to approve this article, and it's a part of a 10-year phase, please look at all of the back of the town hall for recreational for the youth. That's my only point. Thank you, sir.
Duly noted.
Sean, if I can address that real quick. On the plan, where I'm pointing at to right now, there is an addition on the back of the EMS department that was in a future phase requested by the EMS director, so that has been addressed.
Am I right?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Adam Holmes. I live at 12 Leonard Street. I am the current president of the Carver Cranberry League, which is a youth baseball league here in town. I am just simply carrying the torch for my time for now on behalf of the children in Carver that want to play baseball here in town. I'm asking you to support this article and support this project for the over 180 kids that participate in our spring baseball program. It's been discussed previously that this play area would service those players, their siblings, their families while they're down at the baseball field. There's been a lot of talk on social media prior to this meeting about the play areas being overutilized. I can't for the life of me understand how a playground that is utilized by more people is a bad thing, but for some reason that's been widely discussed. It's a good thing if this play area is used by more people and more kids in town. If there's one thing beyond the police station tonight that we've heard from more and more people, it's that the town, the citizens, the adults, the kids, everybody wants a play area here in town, and this project accomplishes that. So I ask you to support the project, support it for the kids that want a playground to play on, support it for the kids that play Little League in town. These fields have been maintained for decades by families, fathers, parents that have participated in this league. The fields are in disrepair, they need help, and we're asking for your help to support the project. With respect to the summer baseball and it servicing our league during being able to build the playground while we're actually playing summer baseball. Our summer baseball season is an abbreviated season. There's only about 6 teams that play. They don't play every single day. They don't play every single night. So it's a much shorter season. It's very underutilized during that time frame. So it's something that would absolutely be able to be done while we're playing summer baseball. Furthermore, I know there's a lot of concern about fly balls and foul balls and 10-foot fences and everything else. In the 6 years that I've been on the board, it's only 6 years, I get it. But in 6 years that I've been on the board, to my knowledge, not a single human being has been hit with a fly ball or a home run ball. It just doesn't happen. The area where the new play area is proposed is by far the most congested area on the entire complex. It's where everybody parks their cars, it's where everybody walks, it's where the kids currently play, and they play slalom with the cars. Nobody gets hit with fly balls as currently constituted. I understand it's a realistic concern. I understand why people are worried about it. It's just not a realistic concern. It doesn't happen often. It just doesn't. So please support the project. Please support the kids in Carver that want to play baseball and their siblings that just want a playground to play on while they're there watching baseball for 8 hours on a Saturday. Thank you.
Okay, hold your applause. Mr. Belbin.
As being one of the people that speak about this on Facebook, think about it this way. You got the baseball's going on. You got one parent, maybe 2 parents, grandparents that come in and want to see their kids, because that's where I helped fix those fields up when my kids were in. That's what you did as a parent, okay? If you're a parent that doesn't have somebody in baseball, and on a Saturday, all right, or even a night after work where they're going to go practice, how many kids can fit on this play area right now, the way it looks right here? Just think about it. How many kids are you going to be? Because there's a limitation on playgrounds of how many kids you can have on one playground area. All right? It's not enough. That's all I feel like. It's not enough. There's not enough parking spots to cover everyone. Okay? Also, I think if we're going to rebuild a field, we need to turn around and think about rebuilding the whole field instead of turning around and just fixing it up now just to rebuild it again.
Thank you, Mr. Belbin.
Can we move the question?
Mr. Dunn, Mr. Hoffman, do you have a new
I
piece
just
of
wanted
information?
to answer Mr. Belvin's comment that that was taken into consideration as well. We're talking about when we're talking about the playground with the baseball going on the weekends, that on weeknights and all weekends when the school isn't open, people can go to the elementary school playground, which is brand new. So they won't be without a playground. They do have that option to go to the other playground if they don't want to be with, parking lot with baseball people there. So that is the other option that's out there.
Okay. And it's fully compliant. I'll recognize you if you have new information. This is getting a little long in the tooth.
I do. I'm going to make a motion again.
Okay.
So I was at the charrette at the library. I was at a subsequent select board meeting, and my daughter was the one referenced as the child at the recreation meetings who suggested it was actually a sandbox and saucer swings, not a seesaw that she wanted. But with that said, I'd like to make a motion to make this even more inclusive.
So that would be amendment to the motion? Can you state the motion while we're...
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Okay, everyone seems to think this should be very inclusive, and it should, and I don't know how many times it's been said tonight. It's a 10-year plan, it's a master plan. I was on the master plan committee, so in an effort to make it more inclusive, I think we should replace, in consultation with the Community Preservation Committee and Recreation Committee chairperson, to, in conjunction with a to-be-formed King Property Committee appointed directly by the Select Board, consisting of at least one member of the Recreation Committee, one member of the Community Preservation Committee, one member of the Municipal Playground Committee, one member of the Select Board, one member of the Planning Board, one representative of the town's baseball or softball leagues, and a minimum of 2 citizens at large, at least one of whom is the parent of a child under 12 and another being a citizen, a senior citizen. This is a 10-year master plan. We should have it be more inclusive, in addition to people going to the Recreation Committee meetings. But this is a big master plan. We should have a big master plan committee for it.
Mr. Moderator, I'm just wondering what section this amendment's for?
Yeah, okay.
A, B,
one second.
C, or D?
It would be the last paragraph of it, under D, where it, and with the approval of the CPC fund. So it's right after Part D. It would be changing the language.
So we have a little bit of a quandary here. So we have a bylaw that basically requires us to notify people if we're going to form a commission or a committee. And so I'm going to say that that would not be in order within this particular article. Although Article 5 does make mention to establishing any new committee or taking any other relative action there too. So I would recommend that maybe if we're going to form a new committee, that be brought up under Article 5.
Can I take my paper back then? and give it to her in a minute?
Okay. If you want to leave it here for
All right, I'll be right back.
Cool. All right. Okay, seeing no further motion to the mics, we're going to move this to a vote. Before we vote, the recommendation from the Board of Selectmen on A was 4-1, on B through D was 5-0. The Community Preservation Committee on A, 5-3, on B, 7-1, on C, 8-0, and on D, 7-1. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Doing one at a time.
We did say that we're going to break this down into pieces, so we're going to start with Article 4.
Point of order.
Yep.
If no one has an objection, we can take it as a block and be done with it.
Okay. So is that a motion?
Sure.
Okay.
Point of information, Mr. Moderator, point of information.
Yes.
Did the Finance Committee and also the Capital Outlay Committee take votes on this article?
I do not have votes from those
Want me to
committees.
weigh in on that?
No,
I can answer that.
No.
it was never brought to us.
We don't have anybody weighing in on that.
They didn't take a vote?
We did not.
Wasn't that we didn't want to.
Okay, so I have a
Mr.
motion to...
Moderator? Mr. Moderator. I just want to mention that the Community Preservation Committee voted on these 4 items individually, and we specifically said in our motion that was written and submitted that the individual amounts of money would be individually managed, And the only way you can actually take those monies from say, Section A and move it to Section B, or Section B and move it to Section D, the only way you can do that is by vote of the Rec Committee and the CPC. So to try to bundle this article, I don't believe is the right thing to do.
Okay. At my discretion, I'm going to go to the way that we originally proposed, okay? We're not going to make any changes. So we're going to start with Article 4A. Again, each of these requires a majority vote. So Article 4A, I move that the town approve Article 4A in the amount and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No. The ayes have it. The motion passes with a majority vote. On Article 4B, I move to approve the town approve Article 4B in the amount for the purposes set forth in the warrant. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. It passes unanimously. On Article 4C, I move the town approve Article 4C in the amount and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. On Article 4D, I move that the town approve Article 4D in the amount and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay. Mr. Moderator?
We're going to...
Point of order. I move that we go ahead and reconsider Article 4A.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to reconsider Article 4. Was a particular portion 4A?
4A.
What's that?
Is your intent, the motion, is to reconsider each one?
No, I only want to reconsider 4A.
Okay, that's it. That's all I want.
Yep.
Okay, so the motion was made and seconded to reconsider Article 4A. This requires a majority vote, and I'll now open it up for discussion.
None.
Seeing no discussion on the motion to reconsider Article 4A, again, clarification, if we vote yes on the article or on the motion to reconsider, we will reopen the article for consideration and discussion with not necessarily vote. If we vote no, then we will not reconsider the article, and the motion cannot be made again to reconsider the article. So on the motion to reconsider Article 4A, all those in favor? All those opposed?
No.
Motion does not carry.
I'd like to make a motion, we reconsider Article 4, Section D.
Motion's been made to reconsider Article 4D and seconded. I'm not going to re-explain what reconsideration is unless anybody objects. All those in favor of reconsidering 4D? All those opposed?
No.
The motion does not pass.
Excellent.
We're not going to reconsider anymore here, right? B
We
or
might.
C? B or
It
C?
would be our choice now, wouldn't it?
Okay, all right. Let's wrap that up. All right, Article 5, Annual Town Report. Do I have a motion?
That right there.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town approve the 2018 annual report.
I have a motion made and seconded to approve the 2018 annual report. Do I have any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make,
Okay, once again, I know that people are leaving the room. I ask you to do so as quietly as possible because we are continuing business here.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to actually create 2 select committees for this coming year. I'll do one, and I'd like you to vote either once or twice for both of them. I don't care. But they're very important.
Ms. Belbin, I need you to make a motion first before we start to discuss it.
I make a motion to create a select committee on bylaw changes.
All right, do you have the motion in writing?
I do.
Can you present it to us, please?
Of course, we have to have one.
So the motion to create a bylaw committee has been made and seconded. Is that the entire text of the motion, Mr. Belbin?
everything that's in there, if you'd like me to read it, I'll read it out, because that's my only copy.
I have like what seems to be a presentation, purpose, appointment, submission, meetings, report to meeting. I need a motion.
I figured I'd just make the motion for the committee and then go through discussion of what it is. But I'll read the whole thing. Town of Carver, a select committee on bylaw changes. The purpose, the select committee will take the role to investigate all bylaw changes proposed by town officials or by petition. The role will include pros and cons of the purpose of the changes or proposed changes. Appointment to membership, the town moderator will appoint 9 members and decide on a chairman with 3 members from each 3 precincts. The members must have attended the past 3 town meetings. Submission process, once the articles are proposed, they must be submitted to the moderator and the chairman.
So, Mr. Belvin,
yes,
I have to unfortunately cut you off. So, Town Council has informed me that I may be doing something which is not legal because there is a town bylaw.
Can't do it, Bob.
The one that I referenced before, I did not reference in full, unfortunately. So it says no authority of commission shall be created at any meeting of the town unless each registered voter has been informed in writing at least 7 days before the meeting of the full powers of such authority or commission and the manner of dissolving same once formed. So while Article 5 does say that we can create a committee, we've not notified people of the full powers of the authority or commission. So we would need to change that bylaw before we would be allowed to do that, either that or give people the proper notification. And unfortunately, we can't change the bylaw at this meeting.
Mr. Moderator, when we post the warrant here, that is notification that committees can be created here at town meeting. That is the notice. Okay? Our warrant is the notice that what in here is what we will be discussing. And if the creation of a committee here by town meeting members, okay, can be created, then they should be able to be created by the people, which that's what I'm doing. I'm coming before you, the people, to create 2 different committees of members here at town meeting, okay, where the moderator gets the pick from them.
Yeah,
okay?
Normally I'd be inclined to agree with you, but the bylaws say, you know, that the voters need to be informed in writing at least 7 days before the meeting of the full powers of such authority or commission. So because we've not informed, we've informed people that we are allowing a committee, but we've not informed them of the full powers of such authority or commission. So I'm afraid that allowing this would get us into some sticky legal situations. So I apologize. It was my error in saying that that would be permitted under Article 5, but I don't want to get the town in trouble with any legal situation. So I'm going to rule that out of order to create any committees or commissions.
Then why do we have the language in the warrant to create committees?
The language is there, but the language is contrary to what the law allows. So the legal counsel and myself are not allowed to let town meeting do anything that would be illegal.
Then we need to change that bylaw that we just approved.
Yeah,
right?
I agree that in order to accomplish what you're doing, that might be one way to approach it. But unfortunately, it can't be done here tonight.
Well, it can't because we already reconsidered the first one, right?
What's that?
Did we reconsider the first article?
We did.
Correct?
Yes.
We did.
So therefore, we can't go ahead and go back and change it so this can be done.
That's right.
Right.
That's why I voted against it.
Oh, there you go.
Miss Nowen.
Gail Nowen, 15 Old Main Street. It actually isn't about the article. It's about the time of night and how many people are here and how much longer it's going to be. Maybe 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock.
Oh, more money.
Can we reach this decision that's on our minds, all the remaining people? What are we going to do with the evening? And is it going to go a second night?
So the discussion on the table right now is regarding the annual town report.
Okay,
So
well, after that.
Yeah, I can't entertain discussion on that, but I can entertain a motion of that nature when we don't have business on the table.
I'll stand here and repeat it.
Yeah. On the right.
Ms. Hewens.
Can we call this question?
Mr. Moderator, I believe Ms. Hewens was before I was.
Oh, Ms. Hewens.
Thank you. Sarah Hewens, 52 Forest Street. I have an objection, oddly enough, to this innocuous annual town report. I'd like it on the record that for the first time in 21 years, the Municipal Playground Committee has been taken out of the annual town report. And I would just like that in the minutes of the meeting. And I didn't take it out, and we certainly have not been dissolved, so I don't know how that happened. Thank you.
I'll note that the language of the article is, or the bylaws actually indicate that anytime a committee does not report at town meeting, it would automatically be dissolved. So,
Well, it's been there for 21 years.
okay. Gentlemen, if you have new information.
Mr. Moderator, through you, Steve Pratt, 16 Weston Street. My question is relative to, and I apologize, I stepped out for a brief moment, but when we took the previous vote on Article 4, I do not recall taking a vote on the entirety of the article. I only took a vote on A, B, C, and D. We never voted on Article 4, which was, to Mr. Belbin's point, the question about the formation of the committees.
There was no mention of formation of committees in Article 4.
That's not correct. It was formation. It was relative to what was the town administrator was to authorize with consultation with the Community Preservation Committee, the chairperson, and to expend funds. So you're right. It's not about a committee.
That's included in the vote.
We had a previous speaker who talked about forming a committee, and you told her that she could take it up in Article 5. So my point is, we never voted on the content of that last paragraph because we never voted on Article 4. We only voted on the dollar amounts in Articles for A, B, C, and D.
Yes.
He is right.
Sean, that language is in all of these, so all that language is in there.
So I would ask us to reconsider Article 4 in its entirety and then allow us to consider formation of new committee, if that be the case.
Well, I don't think we'd have to reconsider Article 4 again. We just can make the motion to accept the article as written, right? We've already done the individual.
We've already reconsidered A and D.
Right.
We took individual motions.
So the amendment to create a committee was ruled out of order, so we don't need to vote on that. With regards to the articles, regards to the article as a whole, each section says for in the amount and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. So that for the purposes covers the purposes that are listed in Article 4.
That was
So,
not, as a member of town meeting, Mr. Ryder, that was not my understanding that we were voting on the entire article when we voted individually
Okay,
on
I'm not
A,
going
B,
to
and C.
entertain any more discussion on this because we're actually talking about Article 5 right now. So we have Article 5 on the table. We're going to continue discussion on Article 5 only if there's new information.
Could I speak to Article 5, Mr. Moderator?
Sure.
My question is, if is the section within Article 5 to establish any new committee, is that going to be stricken from the article because we can't do that?
You can, just need 7-day notice.
You can form a new committee, but you would just need notice, and you would need to provide for the powers of that committee.
But that is not what that article says. It says establish any new committee or take any action relative to.
Regardless of the language of an article, we can't allow town meeting to do something that would not be legal.
Okay. So, Mr. Moderator, where is that written? Is it in the new bylaw that we just approved? Or
No,
was
it's
it in
not in the
old
new
one?
bylaw. It's in the existing bylaws. It is section 1.1.7 in the existing bylaws.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that from the old bylaws? Or is it the new bylaws?
Old.
Yes.
But you said at the beginning of the meeting that at this meeting, we're going by the new bylaws, not by the old ones, but by the new ones.
No, we did not abolish this bylaw at the beginning of the meeting, and even if we did, it would have to go to the Attorney General before we would be able to enact it, so.
So, Mr. Moderator, can the people vote for this, bring it to the Attorney General? If they say no, it can't be done, then that's fine, it won't be done.
No.
I don't really see the point in doing that.
Because if they say it can be done because of our language in this article, which allows the public to do this, then the committees can be
Mr. Moderator,
created.
he's talking about 1.1.7?
Yes.
That was not even discussed in Article 1.
No, it was not,
So therefore, it's still enforced.
Right.
That's correct.
Right. So there'll be no further discussion on this, Mr. Belvin. Thank you. Are we speaking on Article 5?
Article 5.
Okay.
Peter Allegrini, South Meadow Road, through you, Mr. Moderator. To Ms. Hewens, when was the last time the Municipal Playground Committee submitted minutes and agendas to the town clerk's office? You're the chair of that committee. According to bylaw 4.2.1, that committee would be abolished.
Or take any other action relative thereto. There was never any motion made at this town meeting to establish the committee. It was appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
This conversation is not germane to
And it was
the
never
motion
abolished.
to approve the annual town report. We're squabbling over a
It
committee.
absolutely is, Mr. Moderator, because you have a young lady over on the other side of the room that's going to ask for a Municipal Playground Committee person to be appointed to a new established committee. And how can you do that when a committee doesn't exist?
Well, we can't comment on the intentions of another person until we've heard them. On the right.
Jen Bogart, 116 Cranberry Road. Just wondering if, how I could present the creation of the new committee that the police chief, the select board, and other people have supported, if not at this town meeting, without waiting for next year.
Selectmen can form any committee they want.
What was that answer?
The selectmen can appoint any board they want.
That's what I want to know.
Doesn't need town meeting vote. Listen, you're on the way out. Don't push it. We have to be nice to you. We're leaving. Carefully, don't you drive. Fix your ass.
Okay, I apologize. I'm trying to find the best way possible for you to do this because we don't want to, we want you guys to be successful in the things that you do. We also want to adhere to the laws. So, with that said, the bylaw as written is a little archaic, and to be honest with you, it probably needs some revising. It requires that if town meeting wants to create an authority or commission, every voter has to be informed in writing at least 7 days before the meeting. And so that could mean something as laborious as like sending letters to every voter.
No, I don't mean creating it tonight, but how can it be created without waiting for next April?
So that's why I would advise that, one of your options is to try to get it on a special town meeting warrant or on a future town meeting warrant, and then notify everybody in writing, which would be very hard to do. But you could also approach the selectmen and petition the selectmen to create the committee for you, which probably have a better chance at.
There's the answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Man, that's the easy way to do it.
Right.
Mr. Moderator.
And was he before you? Yes. Okay.
Cornelia Shea, 148 Plymouth Street. If the committee hasn't been abolished by vote, or accepted to be abolished by vote, like the playground committee, which is still an existing committee, if it has not, according to the language on the screen, to abolish any special committee not submitting a report. So if we haven't voted to abolish the playground committees, it's still an existing committee, and therefore would fall outside of the formation of a new committee, and a committee could be formed under the playground committee as an existing committee. Is that correct?
I'm not quite sure that's clear. So
we haven't voted, like Sarah brought it up, but we haven't voted to abolish any special committee that has not submitted a report, which it is required to do so, which is part of this vote. Is that correct?
we're not required to vote to abolish any special committee.
It says if we want to abolish a special committee, it's done under this warrant article. Is this correct? And if we have never actually abolished the playground committee, and it has been listed as still existing under the town web pages, it is an existing committee and can be reformed under this. Is that correct?
The committee actually could have been abolished in a previous town meeting when they didn't report, and this motion was made and passed.
It was never abolished. I'm the chair of the committee, and I can verify that.
So I'm asking, my question is, if it hasn't been abolished, can it be reformed under, because it's not a new committee, it has existing powers, and the town is well aware of it, it can be restructured under this. Is that correct?
No.
I don't think the playground committee is asking for that, Connie.
No, well, I'm just asking because Jen's trying to form a new committee, but I'm just asking, for the sake of argument, could the committee be reformed because it has never technically been abolished?
Now, you can't reform a committee if you're assuming that the committee still exists. So
if the committee exists, does it exist? Because it's still listed on the web page as
no,
existing.
I'm not going to entertain that at this point because
All right.
we don't know. We don't have the chart. We don't have like the information as far as what that committee's purpose was, and you can't repurpose it for another.
Right, but you're saying that you don't know if the committee's been abolished either. So
right, and I don't think that we can resolve that here tonight.
I will.
I can.
I will step back. Thank you.
Yep. I'm going to take no more discussion on the formation or abolition of committees. I've already ruled on that point that committees will not be formed under this article. Okay.
Mr. Moderator, may I give you an out? May I give you an out of this? First of all, I'd like to move the article after I make this statement.
Good.
Please let the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen evaluate all the special committees that are in the town report, and if it's deemed that there are some that may not have submitted its minutes, that they go to the previously chair of those boards and ask them if they still are in existence. And at any time, the Board of Selectmen have the authority to create special committees.
Just to save some time, can I have, is that going to be an amendment to
No, I'm just saying move the article, but push it, you as moderator, please give this back to the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator review, because you're not right. We're not going to resolve this tonight.
Right.
That's all.
Right. Thank you.
Second.
We still have someone standing at the mic. Do you have new information? No. Oh, you're waiting for the other part. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and move the question.
When to go home.
The proposed motion is I move that the town approve the 2018 annual report. The recommendation of the Board of Selectmen was 4-1 in favor. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with a majority vote.
Now, Gil.
Is that what, okay, I can do something official or something casual.
Yeah, jump.
See, I'll do casual. Seeing how many people are in the room and how long it's gonna take to do the rest of this, I don't see it happening tonight.
I agree.
So tell me what to do.
Make a motion to adjourn. You would have to make a motion to adjourn and be specific about a date and time.
Adjourn or recess, Mr. Moderator?
I think it's a recess.
It'd be recess until Wednesday, I believe.
Beautiful.
We have some opinion to try to continue this at least until midnight or so. I know there's been precedent where we've gone beyond that, so I think at midnight we'd be a little bit sooner than we've left in the past.
I don't think so.
All right, well, let's
Look at how many articles are here.
let's take the motion quickly and vote on it and see what the will of the town meeting is.
Good, that's good. What is the motion?
We have some scheduling conflicts up front, so the recommendation from the Board of Selectmen is to adjourn to Wednesday evening. So,
That sounds good.
okay. So,
Make a motion.
let's make a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay. So I need a time on Wednesday too. I'm recommending same time.
6:30 on Wednesday?
What's that?
Perfect. Second.
I'm working.
6:30 on Wednesday.
That works.
I second.
Point of clarification,
A motion. Do a point of order.
or clarification.
Yeah.
Does the town meeting need to be finished before the town election?
Yeah, the town election's next Saturday.
It's
the 27th.
So does this meeting need to be adjourned before the election happens? That's the question.
I'd like to offer an amendment, Mr. Moderator.
Okay.
I'd like to amend it that we run tonight until midnight, and then we pick it up Wednesday, only because it's got to go till election. It's got to be over by election, and there's still, we're at Article 5, and there's 31.
Can we have a
So,
clarification from the front that
midnight,
we have to be
and
done
then we
by
pick it up
election?
Wednesday.
No,
So do we vote on that?
So hold on one moment.
they'll never get to it. Some of this pressure done.
Do we have enough people here?
Yes, we
Yes, we have.
Okay. The motion's been, an amendment to the motion has been made and seconded that we adjourn to, or that we keep going until midnight and adjourn at midnight. So on that amendment,
No, we have an amendment and a
we have a
motion.
motion and an amendment. Yep.
Right.
There isn't a second amendment on the floor. There's only one amendment. That's what I thought.
All right. Recommendation from legal counsel is that we don't, it may not be a good idea to hard set the adjournment time to 12 p.m. Or 12 a.m. as it were, because we could be in the middle of an article and have to stop in the middle of an article. So the recommendation is to vote no on this.
I withdraw the amendment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator.
So he's clarifying that it's not a recommendation, but you could presumably vote no on this amendment, and then we could bring it up later that we would go to 12.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I withdraw the amendment, and I'll make a new amendment.
Okay.
May I withdraw the amendment? We go with that?
Yep.
Okay. The new amendment will be that we continue on until whatever article we're working on is completed at around the midnight hour. So if we're in Article 6 and we're still hashing it out and it's 5 minutes past 12, we finish Article 6, then we're done.
Okay.
Is that going to work for everybody?
No.
All right, so I have an amendment made and seconded that we will adjourn the meeting with the closing of the article that we are working on at midnight.
There you go. Perfect.
All those, this will be a majority vote, all those in favor?
Can I just
Discussion.
one second?
Yes.
Why?
Isn't there discussion?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. We have to be very careful if we don't get a quorum, all right? Because what is it, 75 members? Oh, it's 150 for a bond, okay. So we have to be careful. What if we don't get enough people for a quorum on Wednesday?
But it's not a new meeting.
Yeah, it's
a recess.
You still have to have a quorum.
Well, you had a quorum originally.
We still do right now.
Right. Yeah, so...
You think
so,
we can't
yep.
get 75 in on Wednesday?
Can I say something? Clear heads. We're all getting kind of punchy. So these articles from here forward are very important. We don't want fog to be working through these very important things. So it's true. I love Dan. Especially on the drug issues.
Well, this becomes the happy hour.
Anyway.
Okay, so we have an amendment on the table. Is there any further discussion on the amendment?
Yes.
Which would be...
Three left. I have a question.
Yep.
If we can't make it back on Wednesday at 6:30, can we do an absentee ballot for the rest of the things?
There's no absentee ballots for town meeting.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Moderator, quickly. Just by a show of hands, can everybody make it Wednesday night? Is this going to be a big issue?
Can we just take a vote?
Can we have a quorum on Wednesday night? Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun, but I mean, we're going to
Okay, so
this thing to death here.
I'm going to cut off the discussion there because it's right now it's strictly the amendment that we're going to adjourn after we close the discussion and voting on the article that we're working on at midnight. So, seeing no further discussion on that, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
That's too close to call, so we're going to go to a hand count on that.
Just do hand count. You don't have to tell them, just do hands.
We'll just do a quick show of hands to see if we can tell from that, rather than have the tellers come around and whatnot. So all those in favor, hold up your cards. All those in favor of the amendment to the motion
Wednesday
to keep going until midnight and stop on the article when that article completes, the one that we're working on at midnight. So all those in favor?
I thought it was also to pick up Wednesday night at 6:30.
No, that's the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the midnight thing?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, all those opposed? All right, so it passes with majority vote. So now we're working on the amendment, the motion to adjourn to Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. As amended in the previous vote. Any further discussion on that?
Mr. Moderator, just clarification. We're not adjourning town meeting. We're just recessing and reconvening on Wednesday, correct?
Yeah, it's considered adjournment. Dissolving would be to stop the meeting, which we are not allowed to do until all businesses.
I just wanted people to understand that we're taking a break and coming back.
Yep,
okay?
yep. Adjourn means
recess.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to adjourn to Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. As amended previously.
But we're still here to midnight.
Yep, so that means that we will be here till at least midnight until we finish the article that we're working on at midnight. So seeing no further discussion, this is going to be a majority vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Motion carries with majority vote.
Did we vote Article 5 yet? Yes, we did.
Yes.
Moving right. Article 6.
Okay, Article 6, supplemental appropriations for fiscal 2019. I have a speaker on this, but first, do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town make the fiscal year 2019 budget transfers as shown on the screen.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to make the fiscal year 2019 budget transfers as shown on the screen. And we will have a presentation now from Meg LeMay.
This transfer is entirely within the Cranberry Village Enterprise Funds. We had approved the budget last year at the April town meeting, And after the budget was set, it came up that there were some improvements that were needed to be made, including a replacement pump, controller, and computer drive. So this is to move funds from the Cranberry Village Enterprise Fund's retained earnings to their operating budget in the amount of $15,745.
Thank you, Ms. Lemay. Do we have any discussion on Article 6? Seeing no movements to the mic, we'll move on to the vote. This will be a majority vote. The recommendation from the Board of Selectmen is 5-0, and the Finance Committee is also 5-0. The proposed motion is I move that the town make the fiscal year 2019 budget transfers shown below. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes with a majority vote unanimously. Moving on to Article 7.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town approve Article 7 and the amounts for the purposes set forth on the screen.
We have an article made and seconded to approve Article 7 in the amounts and for the purposes set forth in the warrant or on the screen. The way we're going to handle this is we're actually going to, I'm going to read through each of the items on the warrant here, A through J, and as I read each one, if you'd like to open that item up for discussion, simply yell out "hold," and then we will come back and bring that one back up for discussion. Any items which are not held, we would entertain a vote on those without any further discussion. So, as I read these, please say "hold" if you'd like to discuss. So, item A, Town School Special Education Reserve. Item B, Townwide Snow and Ice. Item C, Townwide O&M Field Maintenance and Supplies Fiscal Year 20.
Hold.
Item D, Redevelopment Authority Reimbursement. Item E, Capital Outlay Reserve Fund Reimbursement Fire Department PPE Protective Gear. Item F, Recreation Committee Startup Support Funding for Programs and Activities Fiscal Year 20. Item G, Police Station Town Hall Complex Site Improvements for the lot surrounding the existing police station, town hall, and EMS, including parking demo and existing police station. Item H, Old Colony VOTEC Additional Assessment for Fiscal Year 19. Item I, Other Post-Employment Benefits. Item J, North Carver Water District for Well and Infrastructure Debt Fiscal Year 20. Okay, so I have holds on C, D, and G. So
You get a vote for all the other ones.
Yep. So we're going to move forward with a vote for all the other ones. Now this is going to be a majority vote. The recommendation for the Board of Selectmen was for A through F and H through J 5-0. For G 4-0 to 1 with an abstention from Ms. Hewins. And the Finance Committee A, B, D through J 5-0 and C 3-2. So on the motion to approve all items except for C, D, and G on Article 7 in the amounts and for the purposes set forth in the warrant, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. I'll now open item C up for discussion. We do have an allotment for a speaker here with Mr. Minalowski. Would you like to make a presentation?
Yes, you want me to go through all three of them?
Sure.
Okay, item C, this is for the operation and maintenance, field maintenance supplies. This is an allocation of funding that came out of the school budget. Historically, they had put in $41,000 to maintain the fields. That money is now being paid this year out of free cash. And in future years, we'll be building this into our townwide operation budget. By doing this, this gave the school the ability of funding the half-time art teacher that they needed.
you have presentations on?
Next item, the redevelopment authority, this $8,700. This is the redevelopment authority had provided some funding to the town to fund the master plan through SERPED, and this is a reimbursement back to their account. It's the $8,700. And then finally, the 249-180. This is funding that's detailed in item G for the police station town hall complex site improvements. This will be for demolition of the police station and as well as doing some of the additional parking lot improvements right around where the police station was going to be coming down. None of this money will be used for demo of the existing playground as was previously questioned.
All right, so we're going to take discussion now on item C, field maintenance. So are those who are standing prepared to discuss item C?
Yes.
Okay, we have one. Ms. Nowen.
Gail Nowen. Just to clarify, what Mr. Malinowski talked about was the art teacher is, what we've done with the money is to make her full-time instead of part-time. Just to clarify what you just said.
That would be up to the school committee, but this gives them the $41,000 they were able to reallocate as part of their budget.
They have approved it 3-2, and the FinCom did 3-2.
Yes.
So you had mentioned it was a part-time job. No, the $41,000 enables the art teacher in the high school.
Mr. Moderator, I'll address that if it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the intentions of the school committee voted a budget that would include a full-time art position with this reallocation of money. So yes, it would be maintaining a full-time art position.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jermaine.
Alan Jermaine, 24 Pine. I want this town meeting to be aware of the fact that every one of us on the Finance Committee felt we were a little bit misled. And by that I'm saying we didn't know there were 2 full-time art teachers and one of those 2 positions was being cut in half. And the $41,000 was being put back in to bring them back to a full-time position. So we have 2 full-time Step 11 art teachers at $80,000 apiece. Now, I don't have a problem with that. We did the right thing. We saved the position. Don't yell at me, Gail. We saved the position. I know that's what you wanted to do, and it was the right thing to do. The part that I'm not happy about is that we're going to take the $41,000 and stick it in our capital budget next year and take it out of the school's responsibility so they're off the hook for it so they can continue to fund as their costs escalate. And then our costs are going to continue to go up because we're taking more and more and more of the school's end of it. This $41,000 from maintenance was the school's responsibility. We're doing it now.
Really?
So this is how it boils down to it. And it was not what we had signed up for. We did it because it was the right thing to do. We stand behind that vote. 2 of the members of my committee said no. They didn't like the way it was being done, and we don't ever want to see it repeated because we don't want to see free cash being used to fund payroll.
Thank you, Mr. Jermaine.
Can I respond to that?
You don't yell at me.
I'm not going to yell.
He didn't pose a question to you, so I have to recognize the next person to speak in debate, and then you could speak in debate after him.
I'm okay for this one.
What's that?
I'm all right for this one. I'm waiting for the next one.
Oh, all right. Well, then it's all yours, Ms. Nowen.
Okay, I'm not going to yell. And I really appreciate all the committee's work, the school committee, the proposals, the way it went. It's not 2 full-time teachers, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th teacher and a high school teacher. And I appreciate the effort of having the high school teacher because it's the whole art department. So, and maybe I wasn't given all that
Ms.
information.
Now, and I hate to cut you off, but it's already been mentioned that, that the town meeting doesn't have any authority over the school, what the school does with that money. So your comments might be best for a school committee meeting, but further discussion of the, keeping or not keeping the art teacher is not within the realm of our powers here at town meeting.
Okay, so is this up for debate?
Not to keep or not keep an art teacher or to cut
Okay,
hours or anything like
but
that.
the statements
This would-
were made
This would
just-
just be to allocate townwide O&M field maintenance and supplies fiscal year 20, $41,000.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further motion to the mics, we have a motion that the town approve item C of Article 7 in the amounts and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
No.
The motion carries with a majority vote. On to item D, debate on item D.
Robert Belbin, 26 Gate Street. I'm also on the Redevelopment Authority. This money, like I said, Mr. Malinowski said, we gave to the town to help supplement master plan, amongst other stuff. And then we've just been waiting for this money for a long time, so thank you very much for giving it back to us. If you vote in favor of this, that way we can do some more work for this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belbin. Move it. Seeing no further motion to the mics, we have a motion that the town approve Article 7, Item D, in the amounts and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item G. Any debate on item G? Mr. Belbin?
Now, there's no intent to utilize this money for demoing the existing police station or to do any of this stuff within the next year, correct? I'm asking this to the people at the front desk.
Do we have somebody who
Board
can
of
address the
Selectmen?
question? Thank you.
Questions aren't included in the timer, though.
Yeah, it is a question, so he has a point.
Bob, I do not have an answer for you at that point. We're still going through our whole development program for this.
Okay, then we should save this money right now instead of dedicating it to it. Let's save it, see where else is gonna go on. That way we have it in our back pocket if we need the money for something else. All right, please vote no on this, all right? It's not gonna be needed, like they said, they don't know, all right? Why should we waste money and put it into an account that we could use for something else in the future?
Okay, Ms. Ryan?
I don't see the fire station on there, and I imagine that it would cost less money to demo them all together, and I haven't heard the answer to the question, why are we hanging on to a building that everybody in the past has said has been, like, the recreation committee didn't even want the bathrooms. They said it was a disgusting building. So I would say no, because we don't really know what's going on with that money, and if we're not in any rush to use it, why don't we hang on to it? And when we do the police station, we should do the fire station too.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Mrs. Ryan. I meant no disrespect. Mr. Pratt.
Steve Pratt, 16 Weston Street. Clarification, if the money is not spent this year on the demolition of the police station, or if future, will this money go back into free cash in subsequent?
This money will not. This is an article money. It'll go into the $7.6 million that's needed for the police station.
Okay, so the bottom line is
It'll stay there.
This town meeting could future allocate it to other things as well,
Correct.
which could include the fire station demolition.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further motion to the mics, we have a motion to move that the town approve Article 7 in the amounts and for the purposes set forth in this, Article 7G in the amounts and for the purposes set forth in the warrant. Requires a majority vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No. Motion carries. Majority vote. Moving on to Article 8, fiscal year 2020 operating budgets for town and enterprise funds. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move we approve Article 8 as shown on the projector.
I have a motion and second to approve Article 8 as shown on the screen. Before we go into debate, I have Speaker Mr. Milanowski, and just so everyone's aware, we'll be voting on this as a whole.
Yes, I'm going to try to go through this lightning fast and not take 20 minutes. The town's entire financial plan is based upon the financial management policies that this honorable body passed over 5 years ago. It requires the Board of Selectmen to have sound fiscal management of taxpayer resources, develop a sustainable townwide budget that provides a level of service we can afford within our known projected revenues. With that, we go through a four-step budget process. Tied into that four-step budget process is we put together our forecast that's done in conjunction with the superintendent, the town administrator, and our financial support staff. From there, we then go to different departments and determine what they need for their departments to provide a level of service, operating budgets. From there, it then goes to the FinCom and to the Board of Selectmen, where they start having budget interviews with the different boards and committees until finally we get a final proposed budget that is what the selectmen have submitted to town meeting. We do the same thing for the capital outlay process. It goes through the same four-step process that's in there. Again, in showing these past two slides, I just want to demonstrate the work that goes into from all the boards and committees putting the budget together. This slide is an updated slide that's in your packet. This shows what the 2020 House Ways and Means proposed budget is. This diagonal line that you see going down here, this is net state education aid over from 2016 to propose for 2020. What you're seeing is that's gone down from a little over $11 million that's gone from a little over $9.425 million down to about $9.1 million. These bars are actually what you were seeing for the net state aid coming to the town. And as you see in 2018, there was a big drop off for 2019 and 20. About a third of our budget comes from the state, so this is an important slide because it impacts our revenue coming into the community. This next slide is our 10-year financial forecast. This column in the green is FY20. I'm going to jump into that in a second, but you see that we go out 10 years. In more detail, what you see here is this section of the slide is the revenue coming into the town, $41.6 million. From that, we have other liabilities, fixed costs, which are about $7.7 million. When you subtract the two numbers together, you're left with $33 million. That's the available revenue that came into the town. And of that, the school gets 70.3% of that. Which is $23.8 million, and the town gets 29.7%, which is $10 million. This year, the town received of that was an additional $245,000 year over year, and for the school, that was an additional $580,000 year over year. These last three lines show what some of the changes that have happened with our OPEB liability, where that has actually saved us about $23 million by some of the initiatives that the Board of Selectmen have taken. The next slide is kind of how we operate the entire town and school budget. It's great that everybody wants us to run new programs, but we have a fixed budget just like your own personal household budget is. So if you're going to buy something, you have to cut something out of your budget. That's what pay-go is. Basically, any changes or increases that would require a pay require something to be cut or go. When we look at this, is that our balanced budget is in your government is very well run from all third-party reviews that we've had through our audit process. The Board of Selectmen goals and objectives have been incorporated into the budget. This year's funding growth was actually slightly higher. It was 2.44% compared to last year. Now keep in mind that healthcare went up 7.5%. So basically our healthcare is going up 3 times higher than our new revenue coming into the town. This is one of the structural issues that we face as our government, trying to figure out how we balance the budgets. This year, there are no layoffs built into the budget for the town side. However, there are challenges in the future, and there are no surpluses that exist, nor contingencies. Our budgets are very tight on both the school and the town side. This slide quickly just gives a budget breakdown by categories. 58% goes to the schools, 21% to benefits. Public safety, you can see here, is 9.1%. Getting a little bit more detailed, again, the schools is the largest amount. And just pointing out that veterans is 0.7, COA is 0.2, public works is 3.2%, EMS is 1.9, fire is 1.6, police is 5.5, finance is 1.6, town clerk is 0.4, PEP is 1%, board of selectmen is 2%, utilities are about 1%. Again, just trying to give a feel for what the budget looks like. All of those analysis leads into our actual budget, which is broken down as you see here, with the town portion of the budget being, the shared cost being $6.3 million, then $10 million for the town side, and then we get into $23.8 million for the school side. Tied into here, we also have our enterprise fund, which is the North Carver Water District, the Cranberry Village, and the North Carver Water Betterment Debt Stabilization Fund. In this school budget, as Superintendent Neef has stated, those full-time art teachers are included in that number, just so there's no confusion with that. And that's about as fast as I can go through the budget, and I'm sure you have questions.
Yep. Okay. Is that in here? Yeah, it's already there.
Jennifer's there.
Okay. We will open it for further discussion.
Hi, Jen Dowding, 39 William Street. I just have a question, if I could address Mr. Malinowski. Mr. Moderator?
Yes, you may.
Mr. Malinowski, for the operating budgets, are all operating budgets to cover the insurance for their workers in town?
For health insurance?
Yes.
Yes, anyone that works more than 19 hours a week is eligible for health insurance.
Okay, but in their operating budgets, does their health insurance come out of the operating budget?
The operating budget, as I showed in one of the slides, is a separate category.
But the school budget includes health insurance.
And so does the town. So in the town's budget here of $10 million, that includes health care. In the school budget of $23 million, that includes health care on both sides. So
But
both the school and the town each include their health care within their allotted budgets.
But as a town whole, all of the operating departments, the school is the only one that pays their health care
That is not
out of their
correct.
operating budget?
No, that is not correct. Again, all the town budgets, the $10 million includes all of the benefits that are tied into there on the town side as well.
So it's in there, it's in the operating budget of the department, like DPW, when you put it in the pie chart?
Yes, if you look here, benefits and other town shared costs, $2.6 million. That's part of the $10 million as shown on the screen.
It's in their operating budget,
It's in the town's operating budget of the $10 million, yes.
but it's not in the police's operating budget? Or like the
police?
fire department, their operating budget that, I'm asking about the percentages in the pie chart for clarification.
Sure.
I know that it's in the school budget because
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen it before.
No, and I guess for clarity, it's just like, in the school budget, you're not breaking up healthcare in the elementary school versus the high school. Same thing, but it's in the school district budget. Just in the town, we're not putting it in the fire or the police, but it's in the town budget.
Okay, thank you.
On the right?
Steve Pratt, 16 Weston. Several questions on Appendix D, which is the 10-year plan, found on page 38. First question is, in line 4, there's no mention of new growth, personal property, or equipment of solar. Is that an omission, or is that the expectation?
No, that was actually rolled into new growth in real estate. In previous years, we split up personal property and real estate. This year, through a collaboration between the school committee and the Board of Selectmen, re-rolled all the personal property into one line item, which is just in the real estate.
So we're not going to be showing, going forward, the $55,000?
That is
the
correct.
Collins
That's rolled up
Center
into the real estate.
recommended? Okay. Second question I have is, down about in the middle of the document, transfer to compensated absences liability fund.
Yes.
What is the current unfunded liability for compensated absences? What is the current balance of absences?
Meg, do you have that number? It's a 6-digit number.
I don't have it with you.
Yeah, I want to say, I don't have the number, we don't have it with us, but I think it's around $600,000.
So those are $600,000 that we owe employees of the town in the event they were to retire or leave, and we would have to compensate them for that, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that's why this is an auditor's item where we continuously fund this every year to build that up.
Yeah. If we could in the future, maybe it would be of value to include that balance as a liability. The next question I have is towards the bottom regarding the OPEB unfunded liability. For those that may not know what OPEB stands for, it's other post-employment benefits, which is primarily health care promised to current and future retirees. When we talk about the savings on the OPEB, isn't the reality is that this is really a reduction in liability, not necessarily a true dollar savings that we can apply to anything else in town? I just want to make sure people don't understand we got 23 million, we got $20 million floating around and, we put in our savings account. It's really a reduction in our liability, for future health care cost. So
That's correct. It's an avoidance cost that we don't have to pay that $23 million.
And I applaud you for your efforts to get it down, so thank you. The last thing, which is not mentioned on here, and I'm just questioning whether or not we should be telling our town meeting about this, is the unfunded pension liabilities that exist for the town. Those that are with Plymouth County and also with the Mass Teachers Retirement System. As Carver taxpayers, we're responsible for the Plymouth County unfunded liability, but as Massachusetts taxpayers, we are all responsible for the Mass Teachers Retirement System unfunded liability, and they actually track that by each school district in the state. So I would implore the town to at least recognize, since we had a OPEB and pension committee at one point, which probably isn't in the town report either, but the point is that it's a significant amount of money that's a liability for us as taxpayers that we're going to have to bear at some point. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. On the left.
Ellen Pomfret, 159 Tremont Street. I had a question. I'm not sure to direct it to the Finance Committee or to the Finance Officer or to our town accountant. That the state and many towns have gone to that the data of how a town as a taxpayer, how we spend our money, is online for us to find. It's not a hard thing to do. Like if I want to go online, I can look at my bank and see all my checks. Is there any plan, I'm not sure how to put this towards the departments or the committees, to change our software so it's actually available to us online so we can see where our money's being spent? It's nice to be able to see a quick pie chart at midnight or to see line items, but that really doesn't show me, and the technology is there. The technology is very easy to do. A lot of our local towns, if people want to reach out and talk to them, it's easy to set up, it's easy to do, you can run your own reports, and then I think our meetings would move a lot quicker because we'd answer a lot of our own questions. And then also in doing so, nobody does it deliberately, but that's how the state barracks got caught charging overtime when they weren't getting overtime, because a citizen found out about it. They had it closed for a lot of times. But also there's different things that you could see bleeding that somebody who was looking at the same data day after day may not see. But a fresh pair of eyes at no cost really helps. And if you look at what the state has on their comments from doing so, they've not even maximized their monies. They have people that actually are into CPA that are at night looking at their data and they tell them that there is an error, there is a typo. And most of it is accidental, So has there any, I don't know who to address this to, has there been any thought to putting that back up publicly?
Sure.
So
After town meeting, one of the things that we're going to be looking at with the Finance Committee is looking at the future and trying to figure out how we can get better information, understand the sustainability of our different programs. So I think that would be the appropriate time for that discussion to take place. I know what you're talking
And
about.
I'm not even sure which committee you go
Yeah.
to try to bring that up.
Yeah, I would say it's with the Finance Committee, and again, we're going to be talking to them after town meeting to explore situations like you're talking
Because the
about.
technology is there, and I think it would just streamline, make your jobs even easier in the long run. It's a lot of work in the beginning, but afterwards, thank you.
Mr. Belvin?
Under selectmen's salaries, it went up $100,000. What was the original budget? How much was actual spent this year? We have what was budgeted, but how much was actually spent? Do we have that for salaries and expenses?
Okay, can you answer that?
I don't think we get paid $100,000.
Well, no, it went up. It went up from 2000.
Yeah,
from
I'm
2000
only getting $750.
No, it went up from $311,000 to $429,000. That's a big jump from 18 to 19.
Oh, okay, I'm just making sure that you're not referring to our salaries.
No, I understand that. But that was a big jump from there. And then we're asking for another, what is that? $5,000? $2,000.
Yeah, Bob, to address your questions, there were some adjustments that were made to the budget, plus and you're looking at 2018 going to 2019, we actually added a staff person, which accounts for part of that, and then again, there were some adjustments made in the budget to move things that were funded in other categories and move those into the Board of Selectmen's accounts so they were more transparent, and that was done in collaboration with the Finance Committee.
Okay. My next one here is the town clerk's office. The town clerk's office does a lot of paperwork. They do a lot of work for this town. The problem is there aren't enough people in the town clerk's office to help with all the work that needs to be done. Especially we're getting a new town clerk this year. We've done an awesome job. Okay. And our next town clerk, no experience in it, no matter who you pick, but we have to look at that and say, we need some extra money funded into that for the town clerk's office. Whoever it is, they're gonna need more help. They're gonna need more money, so why isn't there extra money built into this budget to cover that now? Because you knew about it when she did it.
Part of that line that's in the Board of Selectmen's budget is, it's a line item to fund mid-year changes, and like if you hire a new person or if you have to supplement another department's budget. So if there were a need, that it would be that number that you pointed out, that's where it would come from.
Okay, so there is extra money built into this budget, correct? Into all these different line items?
I mean, I'm not sure.
There is extra money built into the budget every year for additional hours, if need be, for a department that has some changes going in, and we build that into the budget every year.
Now, is there a process right now to hire more people for the clerk's office?
No.
Why not?
Because right now, we do not have a process for that right now.
Yeah, the point of order is sustained, so Mr. Belvin has sat down. All right. Seeing no further motion to the mics, the proposed motion is to approve the 2020 operating budgets for the town and enterprise funds as written in the warrant. It requires a majority vote. The recommendations from the Board of Selectmen are 5-0, Finance Committee 5-0-1, with abstentions from Banzel for EMS, Soldier for Fire Department, Germain for Conservation. School Committee, I don't have a vote on here for the School Committee. Was there a vote? 4-0 on the School Committee. So with that said, again, it's a majority vote. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Motion carries with a majority vote.
Mr. Moderator?
Adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
Yep, we don't need a motion, we've already got it. So we're going to adjourn to Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. So at this point, I adjourn the annual town meeting at 12:10 a.m. on Tuesday, April 23rd.
Hey, see you all tomorrow. Yeah. Right.